Welcome to this tutorial brought to you by River City Graphics. In a recent tutorial, I showed you how to create a 3D text effect. Now this works great for older versions of Photoshop, but the new 3D text features in Photoshop CS5 Extended allow for much more advanced 3D text. So to get started, we're going to open up Photoshop, and I'm just going to be typing out some text. So I have Arial Black selected, and I have blue color. So I'm just going to type out Ger-Eng, so River City Graphics shortened, such as I did in the other tutorial. And I'm just going to approve that, and then I'm just going to grab the selection tool, and I'm just going to scale that up a little bit. So now we have some nice big text to work with. So I'm just going to click the check mark. Now the first step in creating this is to go to the 3D layer, and then you're going to go to Repose, and then over to Text Layer. So it's going to ask you if you want to rasterize the text, which means that you can no longer edit it with the text tool, and we're just going to say yes. And so now it's taking and converting it into a 3D layer, and it's going to bring up a dialog box for us to use to give it some more enhancement. So as you can see, it already changed the way that the text looks. I'll just pull this off the screen so you can see how it looks so far. So now you have a ton of different options. You have a lot of different tools depending on what you want to do. If you want to roll the mesh, pan the mesh, slide the mesh, all kinds of things that you can do with this text now. And then it also brings up this little 3D tool over here. So let's look at some of the different options you have right here. You have depth, which this is probably going to be what you're going to change the most. If you take and scale this up a little bit, if you put it up to like 2, you can see that it's basically taking and making our text thicker. So that's what the depth does. We can just take and put that back on 1. And what the scale does is it basically makes it bigger, and then you can also take and twist the text if you want. And you can see that that's a lot of twist. You can see, I'll just put it on like 2 so it doesn't get out of control. You can see that it started to twist the text. You can take and put it up to like 5. Alright, there you go. You can see that the twist effect is pretty cool. You can get some cool stuff with that. So I'm just going to put that back down to 0 because we don't want it to do that. And as you can see, you also have a lot of different other options as far as like the bevel, the material, the different shapes that you can go for with your 3D. There's options for lighting and meshes and all kinds of other things. You can check those out. But basically we have our 3D text effect, and now what you can do with this little 3D tool over here is you can take and actually rotate your text around. So I can take and just move this however I want. It gives you a lot more options than you previously had in Photoshop, especially if you weren't importing 3D text from a 3D program. So you can see that we can take that and put it however we want. And once we're done with that, we can just take and click OK. So now we have our nice 3D text, and we can move that around as we want within Photoshop, do whatever we want with it. So there's one more thing that we're going to do. If you take and I'm going to zoom in, you can see that our text is a little bit rough around the edges, and it doesn't render shadows from the other letters very well. So the way that we can fix this is by taking and going in and rendering the quality in a higher version. So we're going to go up to 3D, and then we're going to go, we're going to go up to Window and bring out the 3D window. So once we have that, you can see it over here. We're going to take and we're going to click on Scene. And also within this palette you have a lot of different options, even more for the light and for the different meshes and materials and all kinds of different color adjustments and everything. So if you take your time to look through this, you can get a really cool effect. So what we're going to be adjusting is the scene. So if we click up here on Scene, which is at the very top, and you go to the quality, what you're going to want to do is take and go to Ray Traced Final. Now when you do this, it's going to start going through and improving the text, improving the shadows and the quality overall, and it's going to look a lot nicer. So I'm just going to move this out of the way so you can see what's going to happen. The more or the larger the text you have, the longer it's going to take to do this, as well as it's probably going to take a while regardless. So I'm just going to take and start it, and then I'm going to speed up the footage so you can see what it's doing. And so let's do it. So we're going to go to Quality and then go down to Ray Traced Final. Alright, as you can see, Photoshop has done a very nice job of taking and making this text look a lot more professional. You can see, if we zoom in, that the pixelation is not there as it was before, and the shadows are much more defined as they would be cast by the actual letters. So if I go, and I'm just going to close up this 3D palette here, but before I do, I just want to show you that you also have the 3D tools right here, so if you wanted to rotate this further, you can use the tools right here in this palette. So I'm just going to close that up and go to the history panel, and I'm just going to go to where we had the text before. So it was up here where we moved it, and you can see what it looked like before, and now you can see the after, and it's definitely a much more drastic change. You can definitely see it looks a lot better, a lot more professional. So I just wanted to throw that in there so you guys could see how you can make it look a lot nicer once you're finished getting your text the way you want it. So I hope you guys learned something in this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.